Hello everybody, it's me, Fax5. I'm back with the facts. You may recall a video I did a bit back about Archie Bunker's popular elitism. Well, I found perhaps an even more egregious example of reactionary popular elitism in fiction. This fiction also comes from Archie, in a way, but not really. What a lot of American folks don't know is that All in the Family is based on a British series called Till Death Do Us Part. Although, if you look closely in the credits of All in the Family, it does say based on Till Death Do Us Part. The British equivalent of Archie Bunker is a man named Alf Garnett, and well, he's a real doozy. He is far nastier than Archie. I mean, the American version depicted Archie as bigoted and cold, but deep down a good person, but you don't have that with Alf. This particular episode is Series 5, Episode 5, titled Gran's Watch, which initially aired on February 5th, 1974. I will put a link to the episode in the description if anyone wants to watch the full thing. Now, let's take some time to look at the following scene to get a good example of some good old-fashioned popular elitism in action. This episode takes place during the time of a big coal strike or coal miner strike in the United Kingdom. Predictably, Alf is going to be hella bigoted, so if you're not in the mood to listen to a British comedian act like a bigoted fool, then you're going to want to click off right about now.
I'm not going to pay.
No, you don't want to read that bloody rubbish he buys. No, look at this. Look at that. Look, saying that the miners here, the miners have got a fair grouse, and we ought to pay them more than the rest of us, and because it's special work that they do.
Well, so it is.
So it is?
Yeah, so it is.
What's so bloody special about digging a bit of coal out of the ground, eh? Oh, blimey, I mean, anyone could do that.
Oh, yeah.
Even your fuzzy wuzzies in the jungle, they could do that. And all you've got to pay them is a few coloured beads and a bit of broken glass. I mean, good blimey, anyone who can learn to use a pick and shovel can dig bloody coal, mate. Even your mix.
Yeah, I bet you wouldn't like to dig it, would you?
No. I don't have to dig it, do I? Because I've learned to do other things.
Oh, yes. We're above it, of course.
Well, actually.
For reference, Alf is a dock worker. Much like the coal miners, he too is a blue-collar manual laborer. We never actually see him doing his job, but other episodes make it clear that he does work on the docks doing some sort of loading and unloading stuff. There are some scenes in some episodes that actually show him on the docks, but I don't, well, at least from what I've seen so far, we don't actually see him doing the work. Now, let's look back on what Alf said. He demeaned other blue-collar workers and, being the massive bigot he is, makes it clear that he thinks that coal mining is so simple that even a black guy or an Irishman could do it. He then proceeds to justify why he doesn't have to do it by claiming that he's learned to do other things. Even his own daughter feigns a posh accent to make fun of the blatant way that he, a blue-collar worker, looks down on other blue-collar workers. Well, let's continue.
And I'll tell you something else. If I had to dig coal, I hope I'd do it a bit more grace than what they're doing it. I hope I show a bit more loyalty, a bit more gratitude to the country what give me the chance to dig coal.
Oh, yes. Show gratitude. Thank them. Kiss their feet. They've been so kind.
Now we have a bit of a strange contradiction, which isn't quite as strange as it first seems when you think about it. Earlier, he demeaned the allegedly simple nature of coal mining. I say allegedly because I don't actually know what coal mining was like in the UK around this time. Despite the apparent disdain for the miners being lazy and unwilling to do a simple and unimportant job, he then claims that doing such an unimportant job would be an honor since he'd be doing it for his country. As a reminder, coal mines were nationalized at this point, so British coal miners would have been government employees. He's got a typical kiss-up, kick-down philosophy. Maybe he believes that if he treats others with contempt, then that pushes him higher up on the hierarchy of things. Like before, even his daughter couldn't help but mock his obsequious nature. Let's continue.
Gratitude. Thank them. Kiss their feet. They've been so kind. I mean, they might have given the job to foreigners, mightn't they?
Yeah, and they still might. Don't you worry about that. We've got the packies over here now, mate. Armies of them. Yeah, old Enoch wasn't daft bringing them over, and he did.
Another amusing contradiction. Earlier, he commented on how the job was so simple that even foreigners could do it, and that you only had to pay them beads. Now he's appalled at the idea of foreigners actually doing it. At the end, he references Old Enoch. Old Enoch is a reference to Enoch Powell, a British politician who was extremely anti-immigration. I'm not entirely sure how to describe him as I'm still researching him myself, but according to his wiki page, he delivered a scathing anti-immigration speech nicknamed the Rivers of Blood speech in 1968. It also criticized anti-discrimination legislation, and Enoch was dismissed from his position as Shadow Defense Secretary afterwards. Despite this, his views were incredibly popular with large swaths of the British public. I'm not entirely sure what the characters are referring to when they reference Enoch bringing immigrants to the UK. I did find something on his wiki page which said that earlier in his career he was the Minister of Health and in charge of the British National Health Service. Likewise, after his 1968 speech, political opponents accused him of having brought immigrants to the UK to work for the NHS. The page specifically says accused because while he was in charge of the NHS, he did not seem to be in charge of recruitment. Alright, I guess. Now that I've got that explanation out of the way, let's continue.
Old Enoch wasn't daft bringing them over, and he did.
Yeah, so he might, but he's gone off him a bit lately, hasn't
Yeah,
he?
so it might be. Well, it'd have been a bloody disappointment to him, hadn't they?
Why?
Well, he brings them over as cheap labour, then his daft lot get hold of them, start shoving their heads full of daft ideas about equality, and the next thing you know, they believe in it, and they want the same treatment as the rest of us.
Okay, now, this is getting crazy messed up. Like, Alf just flat out says that he likes having foreigners who are cheap labor and to accept their place beneath him. While he never explicitly says beneath me, he mentions how they shouldn't be treated the same as the rest of us, and like, that's just absolute popular elitism right there. Alf clearly wants someone to look down on, someone to be beneath him, while he also maintains his own self-image as a proud, hard-working, working-class kind of guy.
Well, he brings them over as cheap labour, then his daft lot get hold of them, start shoving their heads full of daft ideas about equality, and the next thing you know, they believe in it, and they want the same treatment as the rest of us.
Well, it's just as well they do, isn't it? Because if they lived the way Enoch and his gang expected them to live, in mud huts outside all your big towns, you'd have soon found yourself competing with them for your job.
Me?
Yeah, you! And later you'd have found yourself willing, even eager, to do it for a black man's wage. Think on that.
Yeah. See a black man doing my job, can't you, eh? Oh, blimey,
Why not?
Why not? Because they ain't got the same cultural background as I've got, that's why.
And now we have the finale. Alf insisting that out of all the manual labor blue-collar jobs out there, his is safe because foreigners don't have the right so-called culture to do his job. I'm not entirely sure what that means, and the stuff that happens, after this clip cuts off doesn't really go into it. Like, you have his wife roasting him for his own lack of culture, saying that he never washes his hands, like, not even when he goes to the bathroom, which is kind of funny. I mean, it is fun to watch Alf suffer, I'm not going to lie. I think it's actually shows very good acting on the part of Warren Mitchell, that he can make a character just so unlikable that it's fun to watch him suffer. But this is popular elitism cranked up to 10, 11, 12, and back. Take note of just how much contempt he holds for others. And he's not holding this contempt from the perspective of a typical elite. He's holding this contempt from the perspective of a hardworking, blue-collar, working-class dude. He wants a strong authority that keeps other commoners in line. Foreigners shouldn't be given equal rights. They should be brought to the country specifically for cheap labor and to enjoy their place beneath him. I mean, after all, he insisted that foreigners didn't naturally want a desire for equality, but rather it was those damn leftists who put the ideas of equality in their heads. Foreigners could easily do jobs that require hard labor because those jobs are simple, but his job that requires hard labor cannot be taken by a foreigner because he's just too good for that sort of thing. One recurring theme of popular elitism is the desire for elites to keep those commoners in line. I don't mean like some posh brat demanding that commoners in general be kept in line. I mean more like commoners complaining that other commoners aren't being kept in their place. They want an elite, a strong elite class who keeps those commoners in place because we are the good commoners, the ones with the right mindsets and values, the ones who respect the authorities so long as said authorities conform to the values that I, Johnny Come Rightly, deem appropriate. After all, I, Johnny Come Rightly, am normal. Don't ask what that means, just know that my values are normal, and they're good, they're proper, and society should be built around maintaining those morals because they are normal, whatever that even means. You know, one thing I just remembered was this, it was this recording of a George Wallace supporter. It was rather like a film of him, and he said that from like 1968 or so, he was this Wisconsin farmer who said that he wanted good, strong, limited government. And that expression, you know, good, strong, limited government is just something that kind of lives in my head. You know what? I'm going to see if I can find it and include it here.
We want government, good, strong, limited government.
Seriously, man, I bet he would have wanted a government that was strong enough to keep in line those commoners he didn't like, but weak enough such that it wouldn't inconvenience him. Blech. I'm actually wondering, any of you listening or watching, have you ever known anyone who had such a predisposition for popular elitism? The desire for a strong elite class who can do virtually whatever they want so long as they keep those commoners in line. Let me know in the comments if you do. Feel free to like and subscribe and share this thing around. You can give me money if you want, or don't. I'm not your boss. I'm just Fax 5'em. And right now, I'm signing off.